Hello, everybody. My name is KR. I'm running this tournament named Strive Celebration Tournament over on Balanced Breakfast Discord server. For those of you who were watching through Leo's YouTube channel or the Last Exiled One's YouTube channel, thank you very much for taking your time. Joining me today is the man whose channel you're watching this on, the Last Exiled One. He just won his match to get into winners finals in this tournament, so make sure you guys congratulate him. So, first of all, who did you? So I heard it went to a game three. How'd it go?
First game, I got a little bit too frisky with Akuma and got my body rocked.
Uh,
Game two, I absolutely demolished the Rachel with Sea Viper.
who won
And
game?
then game three, we had a close Gold Lewis Ramlethal
Yeah,
match.
like you guys can see, it went to one. Sorry, that should have been zero. It was a 1-0 game at the very end with Ram and Gold Lewis. So that's very impressive overall. Just seeing what we got here, Ramathal Valentine, a very underrepresented character actually in this tournament, yet one um, who has become a very strong one as well. If you really know how to play her, she can be devastating. I mean, looking even at her front side, spending two force for 0 to 1 range doesn't seem like a lot, but in a situation where you're on curve, you can suddenly become above curve and get a lot of advantage that way.
Yeah, she was definitely advantage chaining me quite a bit more than I could dish out advantage chains as Gold Lewis, and she has a lot more advantage cards than I do.
Yeah, Gold Lewis isn't bad at all when it comes to advantage either. I mean, between
No.
having there's a whole bunch of behemoth
Oh,
units
never
too,
mind.
so yeah,
Yeah, we have the
taking
same amount of advantage chain,
you
actually.
guys have a
I
lot
have
of
one more
advantage
advantage
chains.
card.
Yeah, to be fair, you also have more cards in general though. If we look, you have a 36 card deck, whereas Ram's at 30, so she's gonna see her advantage cards more. You have swing, which is an advantage. You have spin, which is a slow advantage, which can be very, very dangerous, specifically when it comes to um, essentially countering faster advantage cards. Because while that is a hit trigger, if you make sure it hits, it's brutal. Gold Lewis also has a guard ignore, which is absolutely disgusting if you can hit it. Drop 1 to 2, 5/3, ignore guard, hit. It's a double sweep. So if you can land that punish, it is incredible.
Yeah, I think that's actually, I landed that once in the entire set, I think.
Yeah, but that's
It
still
dropped once, and I think I landed spin 0 times this entire set. Both cards have won me plenty of matches in the past.
yeah. I mean, drop can the thing with each character with Gold Lewis is Gold Lewis seems to have a tool for against every kind of playstyle. If they have more defensive characters, there's an ignore armor which closes. There's an ignore guard which discards. If you're going against somebody who's a little faster, slam is incredible. 2 to 4, push or pull one, 2 to 4, 4 4 3 3. And if it somehow outspeeds, let's say you're at range 3 and they're trying to sweep you, you can push them out to range 4. If they're trying to do something that's like a 3 to 4, pull them in at range 3 or push them out to 5 there at 4. It's just such a versatile move and so good, especially with the boost security level up. Um,
Yeah, Slam is just an insanely good card quality overall. This card beats a lot of things in the game, because even if you played on defense and they happen to dive you, you're still only taking 2 from it. Slam's just an entirely good card. It also has an insane boost on it. One force for every 2 cards you can draw off the top of your deck is pretty crazy. Plus just a stagnant +1 power.
Not to mention, Goldo is having an exceptional exceed mode. And if we take a look at if you take a look at the exceed mode here, it doesn't change too much. He draws 2 on exceed. The big thing is though, now all of his specials will draw you cards on hit. So not only are you able to deal pretty good damage if you're initiating, look at Rise having extra power. Look at, I mean, Slam doesn't have an initiation bonus, but Swing. And a lot of times, Goldos can do these as EXs because he's drawing, drawing, drawing.
Yeah, Gold Lewis Exceed. I used to Exceed all the time, but it's actually been kind of toned down a bit because his Exceed side is really nice when you're trying to advantage chain people to death, but also being able to having to use that gauge for cancels is also super important in this kit.
Oh yeah.
So exceeding has become less of a priority nowadays, even if it is super cheap, just because I have other things that I'd like to keep live, like EX down with the system, for instance.
Oh god, yeah. EX down with the system. If you can get 4 gauge with EX down with the system, it's a 1 to 2 8 8 on EX. Granted, it's 4 gauge,
Mm.
but that's insane. I mean,
Yeah, the fact that
assuming
it's 1 to 2 range makes it insane, because it's also viable on defense against cross.
it is a DP, which as we call it, which the only thing it loses to, interestingly, Ramlethal's offensive grasp or an exceeded axle
Yeah, it'd have to be EX grass from Ramlethal though.
on offense. I mean,
Yeah, because
not
you're
the
only
not
playing
the
down with the system
not
on.
the yeah
Yeah,
yeah. If you're playing one, yeah. Now if it's a two,
yeah.
um, if it's two grasp and you have whatever, but also take a look. Absolute defense. There's a lot of boosts in this set. Faultless defense. Absolute defense is a Gold Lewis exclusive. Let's see. Area shift. Let's rock. A lot of these boosts do add to gauge. So not only are you advantaged by all the boosts that Gold Lewis has, you also have the normal boosts in this set that will just give you that free gauge. So even because you're very cancel heavy, so even if for whatever reason you do want to exceed, it's not like it's that hard to regain your gauge if you do it right.
Um, yeah. The main thing with Goldless and his gauge, right, is he has one boost in absolute defense, which is the main one you're thinking of.
Yeah, that's the one in
Generally,
his
when you
kit.
boost, yeah, generally what happens when you boost absolute defense is the kind of the similar thing that happens when you boost guard. Is normally your opponent strikes into you rather than giving you the gauge.
Sure, but then
If they don't, though, getting the free gauge is certainly nice, but then you're also giving up the EX spin, which Goldless' like biggest tools are his EXs
yeah, EX spin is
because of
insane.
how yeah,
I
because of
agree.
how reliant he is on just being able to draw them with his bigger deck, and also the
Yeah,
fact that he gets to draw a bunch from everything from security level up to everything
yeah.
else.
That being said, spin on offense itself and even on defense is not a bad move at all.
Oh no, Goldless has a really good range 2 to
Like
3 mix up,
he is.
especially if he plays the +1 range, it gets even crazier.
Oh yeah, the one on not rise but drop, right? No, crush,
It's the one on
crush.
Crush, yes.
Yeah. Drops the one on yeah, drops the one from ignore guard. He's got a whole bunch of stuff, and honestly, one that we haven't even talked about yet, which I find to be not his best move, but a very good boost. In fact, you've used it before. Hurl. It's a fine move. 165. It can be a 176, which hits at range two. But just the kiss of death, +1 power, +1 speed, spend 2/4 strike. I mean, that's essentially canceling for free with Gold
Yeah,
Lewis.
one of the staple things I really like to pull off is Kiss of Death and then into EX drop whenever my opponent's out of Crush because it's normally guaranteed or out of crosses because it's normally guaranteed every time. It's harder to get off against characters like Ramlethal just because of the +1 range, but against most other characters it's pretty guaranteed.
You said EX drop,
Yep,
like the one to
EX
oh
drop with
god damn yeah, that's right, because that would be a speed five.
yeah, it'd be a 1 to 2 7 5 ignore guard, discard 2 cards at
Yeah,
random.
and again, if they had some, well, if they're out of crosses and grasps, yes, or if they're at range two
Yeah,
and out of
you
crosses.
yeah, you play this at range 2 when they're out of
Yeah, yeah,
cross.
you have to
That
play
whole
this too.
setup.
Yeah, but even then, you can also just, boost your own cross to pull two if they're at range one for whatever reason. Get them into
Hmm.
position and cancel it too. And just between that, and then if you really want to go for it and you feel like they could have something like an EX Assault on defense, you already used the EX drop though, my bad. I was thinking you could have boost badass, but same concept there.
Yeah,
But
that's
even
a kind of crazy thing about Badass and Gold Lois's kit is he doesn't need it too much, but it also prevents the same mix-up. As in, you can't really disregard anything because you can look in the discard and you can say,
everything can
okay,
be
they have one
EX.
copy. Yeah, exactly. So it presents all of Gold Lois's crazy behemoth
Yeah.
mix-ups, behemoth
Not to
typhoon
men-
mix-ups.
not to mention swing, which I find to be one of his nuttier moves as well. Um, EX it's a dragon punch on offense,
Yes.
and it's also
Swing.
a very fast advantage option.
Yeah, swing is an excellent move. Really like to play this at range 2 when I'm exceeded because it presents the ability to draw. It's basically just then reads 1 to 2, 3, 6, hit, close 1, gain advantage, draw 2, which
Yeah,
is pretty insane.
it's why I like Goldo's succeed side so much when I play him.
Hmm.
Because hit, draw two, refilling your hand. Not to mention smashes after draw two, and I have landed smashes before that are um plus. I mean, a 2 to 3, one to two, 4-3, 2-3 stat line is not bad at all. When he's EX, it goes up higher, and he gets four draws if he's exceeded and hits.
Yeah, Smash is definitely a good card to play if you just want to refill your hand because it has +2 armor on it, so it's usually trading with slower options at range 2, and at faster options, it's also trading with them. It
Yeah,
obviously doesn't trade well into Grasp or Cross because they leave its area,
well,
but
yeah,
everything
that's
else is usually pretty fine for this. And it's
and
a good reload tool.
yeah, and not to mention the boost is not bad either. Two power hit gain advantage. If it were cancelable, it would be insane, but it's not, unfortunately.
Yeah, Goldless is referred to as an older season character in season 7 because of his lack of he has a decent amount of cancelable boosts, but his non-cancelables actually outnumber his cancelable boosts in his kit.
I mean,
This
he
+2
has
power hit gain advantage makes all of his stuff pretty crazy to get hit by.
it's nutty. I mean, Skyfish itself is also a cancel boost on swing, which
Hmm.
is essentially old school run, but you have to spend force to do it.
Yes, Skyfish and Thunderbird are both your anti-zoner tools. These are absolutely necessary whenever you're playing against a zoner, especially since taking the walk action as Goldless kind of sucks because you're now getting rid of all of your EX options to walk into your opponent if you're out of his holds. Because he doesn't have any really good movement options outside of that Thunderbird and outside of that close three for three
Yeah,
fours.
yeah. Thunderbird's very good. I mean, he even has. I mean, Cryptic Collector's not bad, but Burn It Down as a whole just feels like a weird attack for him.
Yeah, Burn It Down is definitely one of those attacks where your opponent sees it coming. They know it's coming because it's the only thing that hits at its range. Normally what Burn It Down is going to be for is if you're playing against a zoner, because it is also your anti-zoner tool for 3 gauge. This is, I don't have anything to get in range of my opponent, I need to close 8 now, and then you play this. That's
Yeah,
generally what Burn It Down ends up being.
but hey,
Notably, does not work against characters like New,
it
who
really
have Legacy Edge.
Legacy Edge is the 7-6. Yeah,
Yeah,
Brandon.
her 4 to 8.
Oh God, yeah. New has a lot more, lot more to go there. I'm also trying to remember how do I move instead of just tilting? I'm trying to actually like, go to other characters too to kind of just give some examples. So you played 3 games. So you won as Gold Lewis. We saw that, and you won as Viper.
Yes, I have been playing specifically Gold Lewis and Viper and have not touched my third character this entire tourney so far.
Really? So you've just been playing Viper Lewis. Who's your third?
Yep, Carl Clover.
Oh, no wonder you haven't been playing him. Holy hell.
Yeah, I
Um,
picked him when I was on a high for Carl Clover, and then I kind of forgot that he existed and wanted to play Viper and Goldless more. So here we are.
yeah. Well, Clover's a let's bring him out because we got to give him at least a little bit of love. You are the only Carl Clover representative I
He's
want to
right
see in the
here.
tournament.
There's actually one other. One of the guys.
Okay.
Man, what's his name? Dord. Dord is running Carl Clover as well.
Oh,
I don't
Dorad's
think he's played
that's
a single game
right.
of him either.
Yeah, nobody chooses to run Clover. I mean, Deus Ex Machina is just burst because it's absolutely insanely bad from Nirvana. Like sealing Nirvana is his entire mechanic.
Yeah, Deus Ex Machina is one of those cards you play to catch your opponent off guard, and if it fails, you pretty much lost yourself the game.
Yeah. But
But
like
if it
let's
hits, you probably won the game. It's 100% of 50-50 coin flip.
yeah. Like it's also an old school boost mechanic, so you're looking at like the original boost off of Exceed. But Clover actually has some decent tools. I mean, he has a Dragon Punch essentially that can hit from anywhere. Calculating range for Nirvana is a little bit hard at times, sure. But you have tools in her boosts. Move Nirvana La Campanella and Cantabile. You have move Nirvana up to one space with Konanima, which is still not that bad, but you get to draw two if it misses, which is also a decent payoff. You get 2/4 special, essentially that's 1 to 4.
Yeah, Clover's definitely an interesting character. Clover, of course, when you look at him, puppet character on paper, grappler on behind the scenes.
Yeah,
Because you have this big scary doll that does a million damage, and then you have this little kid that just does normal Xseed stuff.
yeah,
So
but really
the idea,
she's the grappler.
yes, yes, the big scary doll that does a bunch of damage. Yeah, Nirvana's your grappler, so Carl Clover isn't necessarily as horrible. I've talked to Chica about this a bunch, and
Yeah.
had Chica go ahead and show me this. Chica, of course, being a person that's won a tournament as Carl Clover, which is kind of insane.
Which
Um,
you can talk to D as well. D's also played a very good card Clover and's come in the top three of like the big 2 day tournaments with it
Yeah,
as
Carl
Carl.
Clover is definitely just a character that you have to be a bit more attuned to, is the only issue with him. It's not like a character that you just pick up day one and start playing. He's a character you kind of got to
Here's
invest a little bit of time to.
honestly, I kind of feel that way about I think like 9 or 10 of the Blaze Blue cast. Like
Yeah,
I think you
no
can't
kidding.
like not even 9 or 10. Like I think they're all of them except for like 3 characters, maybe 4 or 5. I'll say 5. And I'll give my reasons for them in a little bit. All of them except for Tau, Ragna, Jin, Noel, and Platinum. And even Jin and Noel are kind of questionable in that regard. You can play Ragna not having played Exceed before and kind of understand him. He's very straight,
Mhm.
on your face, unga bunga. Tau, you can learn a little bit about the mechanics, get to range 3, initiate with a wild swing. You can play her like that, and she can play competently like that. Platinum, very dumb as in that she just cleans up and does her boost thing, no matter what, every combat. And yet, we also see characters like Arakune, who's one of the hardest characters to learn at the beginning. You see Carl Clover, who's a very hard character to play, much less play well. Lichy, who is, I think, the most influenced stance character, like the biggest stance character right now.
I
Maybe season
think the
6
I
with
think the
D.
main thing about the season when it comes to season 5 is definitely varied in terms of you want to play these characters a decent bit. There are obvious exceptions to this. Um, Nine or Lychee is one of those characters that has definitely when you look at her, it's a little bit intimidating because you're managing a whole different card as well.
Yes.
But then you also look at her card quality and just realize her card quality is actually really, really good
Yeah,
already.
and she is
So it
insane,
takes a lot. Yeah, she's just
period.
insane at the base level, but she definitely has room for growth or a high skill or a decently good
Like,
skill
that's it.
ceiling.
She has a high floor, but an
Hmm.
insane ceiling. And that's what I'm talking about. But you still also have to have a little bit of skill with that kind of ability to get her. Talking
Mm.
about Nine the Phantom, as you're saying, Nine's another one with very good card quality. And once you get past the fact that her deck is huge, she's not that bad to play. I say this as somebody who has played Nine casually for a little while now. She's fun if you don't mind giving your opponent a headache. That is. Um,
Yeah, Nine definitely has like the most text on her just UA in general out of pretty much any character in the game.
yeah, she's
She is a little bit confusing to play as and against at first, and then you kind of get the swing of her after a
yeah.
while.
Just seal
She
your
is
normals, use
card
your specials.
recursion. She's card recursion printed on a character.
Yeah, which is cracked. Now we talk about Hazama, who on paper seems like a very easy to play character. In actuality, I consider him to be probably the third hardest character in the set to play after Arcune and Clover.
I would actually disagree with you on that part.
In terms of like
Hazama.
in terms of like playing it truly optimized.
So the thing with Hazama that you'll notice, yeah, we have a lot of Hazamas in the tournament.
Oh, we do.
Here, Hazama is, I think, one of the most picked characters in the tournament.
I think actually the most pick from Blaze Blue for sure.
Yeah, definitely from BlazBlue. Hazama is one of those characters where you look at his kit and you look at the fact that he has two Ouroboros cards.
Hmm.
Well, you'll notice if you watch through the tournament VOD is that usually only one card is used, and it's usually the one to close, because Hazama is a very resource-intensive character.
Yeah,
He eats through his resources like he's paying way more for rent than he should. And it definitely shows. So normally what will separate Hazama play is how good the Hazama player is at
managing their
managing those
resources.
resources. Because if they dump all their resources and go crazy with their UA, then they're going to be really low on options and die pretty fast. If they manage their resources well, they're probably going to have quite a good mix-up going on.
At the same time, while Tao is the Wild Swing Queen, Hazma's kind of the Wild Swing King of the season. He has
Oh,
three
100%.
three different force specials and two ultras, which all of them are insane stats, by the way.
Hmm.
1 to 2 6/4 ignore armor. Breaks both focus and block. 1 to 2. He has the 2 to 3 6, 2 to 3 3 6, which is an advantage on a force special, and you can cancel it if you're losing it with a wild swing. Um, I think He's very easy to play. He's easy enough to play, but for a true optimal play in terms of how big you can get with him sealing, I think it's a lot more difficult than you would think at first for Hazama. And granted, there's also somebody who's played against a lot of a specific Hazama, namely Shizzy's, quite a bit. I've seen how he plays. The way he has to manage his resources and get all the information out is difficult.
Hmm.
Then we look at somebody like Tager, who's honestly got a very low floor. Not just in terms of
Tager,
decent.
Tager's the grappler this season. He is also probably one of the harder grapplers to play because he's a very gauge hungry character, but he wants to have. He basically needs gauge to function, but he has trouble generating gauge.
Yeah.
He has one thing that generates gauge guaranteed, and that's only if he's at range 1 and Gadget Finger.
Yep. And
The boost Gadget Finger, and this character struggle has quite a struggle bus. We only have one of him in the tournament, and we did
very
actually,
fodder.
I believe we actually got to see him beat down a couple Sea Vipers, which was pretty interesting. Um,
If you have a really good Tager player, I'm talking about like D. I'm talking about um, like Carrie's even decent with grapplers, but I'm really just talking about D here. Um, they can use his kit to the max, but that just takes a lot of good fundamentals and really grappler fundamentals, which
yeah,
are very
playing
separate.
playing Tig, yeah, playing Tager is definitely a challenge because you have to overcome the grappler challenge of getting in, but you also have to overcome the challenge of not having the resources you need to function,
And not being
which
able
makes
to move
Tager
more
a
than
little bit
two
harder.
spaces at a time,
Yeah, exactly.
which is the other thing. I think Bang is somewhat. He's easy to play, hard to play truly well. And that's not so much of a skill level, it's more of a mindset level. I know bangs that play specifically to get EX Hyper Shadow Step with full specials and overdrive. I do that. It's We kind of nicknamed it Exodia after the Yu-Gi-Oh cards, right?
Mhm.
But it's still not going to win you the game, and if you play just for that, you're not really going to make the best use of his kit.
Bang's an all-rounder character. He's the hidden Shoto of this season.
Yeah, he really is.
He has tools to deal with literally everything. That's just how the character was built, and that's how the character functions.
Yeah.
They do have their funny 8 gauge special or their 8 gauge ultra, which I actually did get hit by and survive somehow in the tournament in my
Well,
very
yeah,
first round of the tournament.
yeah, it's still a pretty good one to get. It's still not like the biggest thing. It's not like plus. It's only 10 power total. So that's kind of my thing with it is that even though it's great, if you just play towards that, you're not actually playing for the win, and it's kind of that mindset that will get you. If you play Bang well, you can
Mm.
get it every now and again, but you shouldn't be playing for that specific outcome every time to the detriment of the rest of your game plan.
Yeah, no, there's no reason to go for that game plan unless you're really going for the Twitter clip or the Twitter clips, the Twitch clips.
Granted, I actually have a friend in our tournaments who does very well with Bang. Doesn't always win his matches, but he plays for Exodia and he hits it a lot. But Exodia is also counterable. It is only speed 8 or speed 9 on EX. It does lose to EX Grasp at 1 if it's boosted by light,
Yep.
which
Well, doesn't that move guarded though?
no,
Not
it's
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 just
178.
188. Oh yeah, it is 187.
I thought it was 188. Yeah.
No, it's 187.
Yeah. So yeah, only speed 8. So it was like if you have a +1 speed boost, which somebody has it, fatal eruption's guarded. Everything else is guarded, but Shadow Step Strike is not. And 187 becomes a 198, and yet it doesn't always work. And EX Grasp on offense can do it, but more likely it's EX Grasp with a speed boost that can do it. Which again, I will say I've hit. I felt very
Hmm.
bad for this friend. It was he was doing so well with it, and then he just decided to he went for it, and I just kind of ruined his day. I think I was playing Beheaded that tournament. I think it was Beheaded that ruined it. Yeah. Let's come down to Street Fighter real quick. So we actually have quite a few characters represented. I want to say everybody is at one point or another represented in this tournament. We definitely have a lot of Sagats. We have a lot of Ryus. We have a few Akumas. We have a Chun. We have a Guile. We have quite a few Vipers. Actually, Viper is one of the most played characters out of Street Fighter, which I was not expecting. I was honestly
Yeah,
expecting it to.
I
I
think
was
I'm
ex-
actually holding the most wins for Viper right now in the
yeah,
tourney.
yeah. That's the thing. Like Viper is a very much a win hard or lose hard character. Just because of how she performs. But if you can keep winning with her, you pretty much landslide. Something that I have noticed, Ryu's a very good all rounder character. Being able to play footsies pretty much for free is great. Having the freest set of having the freest set of moving is amazing. Just move one as an action. That's it.
Yeah, I mean Rio's just your staple blue Shoto. He's the most staple blue Shoto in the entire
Yeah.
actual
You want to staple
entirety of Xseed.
you want to staple Red
Move,
Shoto?
move, boost. Yeah.
We want to staple red soda? We have Ken too. So if you want to play a little more defensive, a little more footsies, or a little more offensive, you have a great option in Street Fighter. Um, if you want to play a little more, I guess, Pig Shoto or Wild Swing Idiot, brain dead turned off. Hey, guess what? We got Dan for you too. Like Street Fighter, even though it's these, I want to say it's actually the smallest set of characters. Period in the Street in Exceed. I think it's tied with four. Yeah, it's tied with four for the smallest amount of characters at 12 each. And yet, I think that three actually has the most complete set of fighters, maybe out of like the first 5 seasons. You have
Yeah,
everything,
season three is a very well-rounded season. It has all of the archetypes that you're looking for in a season,
and that's just a
and
testament
it
to how Street Fighter
covers them
is.
all very well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just a testament to Street Fighter and how well they made their games. Of course, we have Sagat, we have Ryu, we have Geef, and Akuma. Like these four guys in the Ryu box, you have a lot of you have a very high power, low health, or relatively low health character in Akuma. Zangief is Zangief. Grappler, he'll get a little extra speed if he's range one if he range one criticals. And also, I think, oh, speaking of criticals, this is the only set that has them, and yet I think is one of the most intuitive mechanics that you could have had. Spend a gauge, give your attack a little bit extra. It's smart. Dan can do it on all his wild swings. Geek can get it on all of his range ones. Ryu has it on a few attacks. Ken has it on a few attacks. Guile has it on a few attacks. Cammy definitely uses it quite a bit. She's a ninja. She's a crossover character. Vega is like a wall to wall ninja. It's impressive what they can do. So just I don't know. I
Yeah,
guess
season three is definitely pretty varied.
yeah. So again, like even just with the characters you have, you might not like all of them, but it's impressive just how varied it is compared to something like a season two, which feels while it does have a good amount of characters to it, and it definitely feels like each one fulfills a different role. I don't know how many season two characters would actually be played in a tournament that allows them. I know some people would probably play their favorites, or some people might just stick with some standard ones. Zolt. We might see a Remulus or a Swangy. Um, Cyrus I've seen used before. I haven't. I like. I don't. I haven't seen too many characters from 2 be used in actual tournaments before. Partially because I don't run that many season 2 legal ones, but also because, well, season 2 kind of feels very difficult to play overall. And contrasting that with 3, 4, 5, and now 5 through 7 kind of being the next batch, especially season 7. You have some characters that are hard to play, but we even have kind of Blue Shoto, Red Shoto Mark II with Kai and Soul.
Yeah, season 7 is probably the fastest season of them all, just because it doesn't have the standard boost. It has cancels. It has the want to play less of standard boost and then strike, and more of I want to go now, hit the gas,
Yeah,
which is
it,
very in terms with the how
feels
Strive actually plays in the
yeah,
video game as well.
yeah, it feels very wait for my moment, then go 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 go, which is great. I
Hmm.
think. I think that being able to boost cancel, boost cancel, boost cancel, it makes a little more sense to what you would want to kind of do here. In a way, it's kind of getting on. It's kind of making like a combo. I look at somebody like Potemkin. He's a little bit more boost weight at times, but even he can go like badass cancel. And if you want to talk about the most like boost cancel go character, we have to talk about Chip. I mean, Chip is the
Yeah,
epitome
I mean
of
Chip is definitely the most controversial character in season 7. Because he is literally a ninja, so his entire gimmick is being able to whittle you down with paper cuts, but he also dodges your attacks.
yes.
Uh,
Yeah. Speaking of dodging his attacks, he has reusability on and after.
yeah, so generally the gameplay you'll see from Chip whenever, not a whole lot in this tourney because the only Chip we have has actually been eliminated now, unfortunately. Um, But the normal gameplay loop you see from Chip is boosting a bunch to hit you with 2 guaranteed spikes, because he has speed boosts in his kit that allow him to do that with cancels once he builds up enough gauge. And then he will play moves in accordance with what allows him to dodge your attacks, because he does not want to be hit on his turn. He wants to be hitting you on his turn and dodging you on your turn. Preferably both, but that's not always possible.
There is also a mode on Chip powered by one specific move that allows him to essentially run you out of resources without any player hitting. Empty Resho. He whiffs a Resho and he can just keep going with it. Because Resho says you may return this card to hand on after.
Yeah, Russia is definitely the card that tells you that you have to do something in the chip, otherwise he's just going to mill you slowly but surely if you decide not to play anything, because you are forced to either play stuff from hand, and playing like it would be fine, but you only have 2 copies of block to put in your gauge for free, and then you start burning through your resources, and it's not that great, so it does force you to actually interact with the character.
And even then, block isn't the best option against it because you could be using that block for something like, oh, I don't know, a very fast guaranteed hit. Maybe not a spike, but let's say if he wants to mix it up, dive. If he's at 3, he doesn't have a spike, he can still dive.
Yeah, he can definitely dive you. It's not super likely to see chip dive over you just because he normally doesn't need to.
Yeah, it's literally just dust. I mean, if
Yeah,
he's doing that, he's dusting.
yeah,
And oftentimes for 6 or 7 power, too. It's not just 5. Because remember, Badass is a universal boost on sweep.
yep, yeah, badass. He also has another +1 power boost in there.
+1 power, +1 speed, Daijobu on Alpha Blade. +2 speed on Zantetsu, which is... I forget the name of the boost right now, but Zantetsu is his 2-gauge Ultra, which is a speed 9. Speaking, go into from Chip to the character who is by far the most played in Season 7, and the biggest counter to him, we have Axel, um, who has I feel like actually overtaken Chip as one of the more as the most controversial character, at least in my scene.
Axel is definitely the other controversial character. They basically took the season 1 printed character Lily and put it on a season 7 character with a small deficit of -1 speed on the front side.
They gave him the
Um,
deficit of -1 speed instead of giving him less range on his plus. So even though he's -1 speed, he still has the +2 range in the beginning, whereas Lily has +1 in the beginning.
yes, that is correct.
Since you
And
played against
so
him before.
when you run into Axel, Axel is very much a you have to fight him before he exceeds, or you're going to have a very bad time.
As some
It's just how the character runs.
as somebody who has played an Axel mirror, the Axel who exceeds first wins. That's just how it works. You want to exceed first, otherwise you die. That is what I learned playing Axel against Axel. And yes, it was as miserable as you're thinking. So we pretty much covered all of our seasons. Who are your predictions for your opponent? So on the other side of the winners bracket, we have remaining Polterghost, Shizzy, Moriarty, and Cobalt, four very strong players. So who do you think is going to be most likely to be your opponent this time around? Just to go over the teams real quick, we have a Vega Hazama Axel, a Bison Hazama Axel. That's Polter and Shizzy. They'll be facing each other this round. Then we have Ryu, Hazama, and Soul versus a Ryu, Rachel, and Faust in
I
Moriarty and
really
Cobalt,
hope
respectively.
so. I really hope that my opponent is Moriarty. But I really think that my opponent will probably be Poulter. Just mostly depends how Poulter is feeling. Poulter did kind of just smack down my entire tournament, which was
Uh,
we pretty much got to see some pretty prime Poulter gameplay there.
yeah,
Poulter
I
is a very insanely strong player. It's just that sometimes, of course, he is off his game when he's forced to play at certain times, and that's usually what will
yeah,
be or what is his downfall when he is forced into those awkward situations. So I'm
yeah,
expecting to play against Poulter, but I'm hoping to play
yeah.
against Moriarty.
Yeah, I would expect you to. I honestly, I think whoever wins the match between Polter and Shizzy would maybe be your next opponent, but that's my predictions from kind of knowing Shizzy more personally, him being in my play scene, him having taken, in general, just a pretty strong approach to this entire tournament. So,
Mhm.
again, Moriarty and Cobalt, I think definitely have a big chance too. I think both of them are have looked pretty strong. Moriarty's also very good at creating design space for and having doing like good design space for Exceed itself. So he does a lot of great customs too if you want to come check them out. And Cobalt has done a lot of our restreams as well. So he has a little bit, I guess, of intel as a restreamer into how certain people play. So you never know. Maybe that intel will come in handy.
Yeah,
All right, well, thank you very much. Best of luck, and we'll see you in winners finals and whenever else you're going to restream. Thank you very much.
thank you.